All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am kicking out this video in response to a student question. Student asked, do we need to create separate files or does everything need to be generated by JavaScript? And they said, do we need to have only one HTML file? And as we discussed in class, you can go either way on that. My preference is to externalize assets. I prefer to, it's a good principle of information system design to have many small files rather than a few big ones. One major advantage I can think of if you externalize your JavaScript and CSS and HTML from your HTML, then you can, in GitHub or in your file system, you can use file system permissions to allow your graphic artist to access only CSS, your programmers to access only JavaScript, and your front-end developers to access only the HTML, and then your senior level information designers to access everything. And that's the way commercial IT shops do it. Having said that, if you want to have one file and embed your CSS and JavaScript, I think that does a perfectly good job of doing the work. Now in a future class, and we're not talking about this at all now, but when we get to our full stack class a couple of sessions from now, we're going to see how we can store our content in a database, images and content in database, and then we can use a programming language such as Node.js to emit HTML, and in that way, that I think maybe that's what the student was thinking about. You can forward generate your HTML from a backend server. That is a server-side solution. As I talked about on Friday, we are not doing server-side solutions. We're doing client-side. We're doing fact clients. Everything lives in the client. Everything lives in the BOM, browser object model. And it's going to be parked there either as a single HTML embedding CSS and JavaScript or as 3 separate files, plus, of course, your image files. All right, another couple of things we'll talk about here is do whatever it takes to deliver the requirements of the project. So here, for example, we're talking about some issues regarding to making a nice front-end design. Often as programmers, we're perhaps a little bit arrogant in thinking that as programmers, sort of this color stuff and so on is beneath our social class. We don't really think about it. At least that's the way I used to look at things. However, it is a good addendum to your skill set to become proficient at being a good UI designer. Products which make it to the top, like iPhone and Google, got there not because they were technically superior. There were other products that did the same good job as them. However, they beat it out in terms of making good UIs that were pleasant for users to interact with. So just make a decision to install a belief system in your subconscious that it is a very important part of your skill set to be good at UI design. And over the next couple of years, just pick up little bits and pieces of hints and tips here and there. Maybe take a couple of courses on lynda.com or Udemy and just decide that it's an important thing you will learn about. Now, for right now, you could do what I do, which is to use color palette tools. Here's a nice one on canva.com, and you can ask it to, and these are designed by very top-level graphic designers, because colors have certain emotional appeals and effects on people. And you probably don't consciously realize it, but very popular websites have spent a lot of time and money. They've got very good graphic designers and even things like iconographers to design the fonts, and mythologists and cultural anthropologists to embed images into the product to make it convey a certain emotional impact and appeal to you. A very good case study we talk about in the mobile capstone project course is the Angry Birds, right? Angry Birds app, one of the most successful apps in history. If you look at the app itself, it seems, well, it's very trivial and like, what's the big deal about a family of birds who's always fighting with each other? But because there is a lot of, there's a rich storyline in there, or another example is Pokemon, right? Pokemon games are popular, not because the gameplay is anything unusual, but because people buy into the world mythology of Pokemon. So anyway, that's outside of what we're getting into in this course. However, if you decide to pursue and get a job and build your career in being a designer, these are definitely things you are going to want to make a part of your practice. And one other thing I wanted to show you here in terms of getting your project optimized we talked about Chromium on Friday. In fact, I talked about it several days. So here is a little lecture note which will give you some assistance in terms of using Chromium DevTools to optimize the performance of your code. So let's go to a popular and well-known website such as Disney.com. And they spend a lot, right? I can say they're probably one of the top spenders in the world on this product, on their skills. So if you right-click, inspect, you are now in Chromium, and we've seen how to use the console and how to use several other aspects here as well. Now here's an interesting thing. You can use what's called the Lighthouse feature, Lighthouse, and Lighthouse will give you performance metrics on your page by number of standards, and you can make it a goal for yourself to get those numbers up as high as possible. Right, so their performance is not that great, probably because they want to do a lot of rich animations, so they've decided to bite the bullet on having it a low performance. Accessibility, pretty high. Best practices, close to perfect. Search engine optimization, and progressive web application. So once again, I will leave it to you, and I'll invite you to sort of just play with this, and since you're already kind of in there doing your project, you can study my lecture notes here, and if you have any questions, let me know. There's some case studies of very large, because our goal here is to get you onto your day one of the job already being familiar with the practices as they are being done at work. So here you can go and see that stuff. Anyway, any questions? Have a nice day. Take care. Bye.